everyone. Welcome to These Guys Got Next, our NBA basketball podcast. My name is Elijah Fa'afiu, and as always, I'm joined by my basketball aficionado, Ravindu Pathirana. I think we're going to use this time to sort of introduce ourselves and sort of tell you guys as our listeners or as our viewers why we're deciding to do this podcast, what you guys can expect from it. But we just want to use this opportunity to tell you guys a bit about ourselves. So I'll actually throw it to you, Ravi. I'll throw the outlet pass to you to kick things off. Tell the people who you are and your background.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I'm definitely looking forward to kicking things off with you. Just a bit of background about myself. Born in Sri Lanka, grew up in New Zealand, and now currently living in Sydney. Basketball background wise, very social basketball player, but loves a good yarn about it. Over to you, Ella. Back to you. 1-2 pass.
That was a very quick pass back to me. My name's Elijah Fa'afiu. I work as a sports journalist here in New Zealand. NBA basketball is probably one of my favorite sports. So when I get the opportunity to talk about NBA, I'll absolutely jump at the opportunity. I was born and bred in Auckland, New Zealand. I'm full Samoan. Big fan of NBA basketball, as I mentioned. And yeah, I guess for both of us, we've decided to go down this venture of basketball podcasting. Rav, I guess for you, what triggered you to sort of jump into this venture?
Yeah, I think just being a big basketball fan for a long time now. But one of the things that really sparked the interest in me was the 2015-16 season. I moved to Palmerston North to do my studies, and all the boys that I was living with at that stage were big basketball fanatics. Again, one of the best seasons to start off watching or properly following basketball. I've read articles and knew the sport quite a lot, but never really fully gotten into it. Like looking back at that season, we got the Warriors having the greatest regular season, Cavs having that 3-1 comeback, Kobe's retirement, and also probably the greatest dunk contest that we've ever seen in a hot minute. How about you? Why the NBA and why basketball? Eli?
Yeah, I guess I started watching NBA around 2012. 2012 was a big year for me because that was the first year my family got ESPN for the first time. Before that, we were just watching free TV, and you just hear about guys like Kobe and LeBron, and you're like, "Oh, I wish I could watch those guys on TV." So 2012 was sort of the year we first got Sky, and with Sky came ESPN, and got to watch a whole lot of NBA games for the first time. Was really invested. There was a particular team that stood out to me, and we'll touch on that a little bit later on. But that was the team that sort of drew me into NBA basketball. They just made NBA basketball so fun to watch. Fast forward now, about 12 years or so later, we're doing this basketball podcast. It's just an opportunity for us to talk about our passion for NBA basketball, and I guess use this podcast from a New Zealand context as two Kiwis all the way on the other side of the world talking about what's happening over in the US and Canada. So that was sort of the trigger point for me as to becoming an NBA basketball fan. Actually, let's talk about who our favorite teams are. Ravi, I'll just let you take it away.
Yeah, definitely. So, as the viewers will come to know, Eli and I, unfortunately, follow the Los Angeles Clippers, the little brother in the Los Angeles.
Yeah, I just heard the Lakers fans just leave they've dipped after a few minutes. So
Yeah.
anyway, carry on there.
Like Eli said, especially starting off in that 2015-16 season, even though it was the latter end of the Lob City Clippers, going back into the decision of why and who I wanted to follow in a close eye in terms of the NBA was the Clippers. They were just, like Eli mentioned, so fun to watch. And just going back and thinking how they were and what they were able to accomplish or not accomplish as well at the same time. Came with a lot of enjoyment, but also a lot of heartbreak being a Clippers fan, especially with all the injuries that kind of surrounded this team and all the controversy around it.
Yeah, I guess Lob City drew me in, like just watching Chris Paul just throw it up, and he could throw it up anywhere, and Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan would just be there to just throw it down. Jamal Crawford was there, and his style of play is just amazing to watch. And then when we had guys like JJ Redick come on board and Matt Barnes and that whole Lob City era, one of the greatest squads to never win a championship, and I think they were. It's a shame. It's a shame for me to say, but they were extremely underwhelming in terms of their potential and how good that squad could have been. Who's sort of your favorite players to watch? I know Clippers are our favorite team, but are there any particular players you enjoy watching?
Currently, I'd have to say my style of play. I like watching Kyrie quite a lot. Jalen Brown and Jalen Brunson stands out for me as well. And guys like Anthony Edwards who just bring a lot of energy and spark into the game. Big fans of them. How about you?
Yeah, Chris Paul. I mean, I guess Chris Paul is my all-time favorite player.
Mm.
He still is to this day. He's the reason why I became a Clippers fan as well. Other than the fact Lob City was a thing, Chris Paul was the guy leading the charge, and it's a shame that he hasn't won a ring in his career. I was a bit gutted when the Suns lost to the Bucks in the 21 finals. That was probably the closest Chris Paul could have gone into a ring. Even in his time in Houston as well with James Harden.
Mm.
I'm still waiting for CP to get that ring. I mean, I'm hoping at some point he and Wemby can win a ring together, but I doubt that's going to happen. So Chris Paul to me is my all-time favorite player, and then guys like Zion Williamson and LaMelo, guys who sort of come in with a lot of hype. I'm a sucker for those hype trains. As soon as they come into the league, I'm already on board. So and I'm hoping that they last in the NBA. So yeah, sort of guys like that are some of my favorites to watch. But I guess in terms of this podcast and what we're hoping to do leading up to the NBA season, we're going to do a whole lot of previews and breakdowns and our sort of predictions of who we think are going to win awards and who we think are going to who we think is going to take out the championship. We're also hoping to introduce a number of segments to sort of switch things up a little bit. So as always, the majority of our podcast will include a big analysis segment. So we're just going to break down what we've seen in the past week, look ahead into the week coming, and that's pretty much what we're hoping to do on a weekly basis in terms of NBA basketball. Ravi, I know we're also hoping to introduce a shot clock segment. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So shot clock segment's designed to be around an NBA possession, so 24 seconds for Eli or myself to give a hot take per episode, and we're going to have a little bit of a discussion around as to why we think that is the case. And Eli, another one with quick fire. Do you want to give
Yeah,
them a
quick fire as well. So if you're a fan of those shows like Pardon the Interruption on ESPN, where those broadcasters and sports writers like to go back and forth on and debate on certain topics, there's usually a segment at the end of Pardon the Interruption that is a quick fire, 60 seconds to pretty much go back and forth on a number of questions. And there'll probably be topics that we haven't touched on as much during our analysis or throughout the episode, just because of the time we have allotted for the podcast. But we're hoping to use that quick fire segment to sort of talk about, I guess, some of the lesser storylines in the NBA, but hoping that they get a mention as well. So, and I guess over time we're going to use the podcast to introduce and trial some other segments as well. But yeah, we're hoping that you guys as listeners and viewers can stick it out with us on this journey. So yeah, that was sort of a brief introduction there. Ravi, any final thoughts from you? Any final words before we get stuck into this venture?
No, looking forward to an exciting NBA season. A few shake-ups happened already. Yeah, definitely looking forward to something very entertaining.
Awesome. I just want to say, if JJ Redick can get a job doing this, then I'm sure one of us can get an NBA job as well. So I'll just leave it there. But thanks so much for joining us, everyone. We'll begin our preview of the NBA season. Next episode is going to be breaking down the Western Conference, such a stacked conference there, but there'll be a lot to talk about regardless. So until then, we got next and Matiwa.